Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today's video we're going to be dedicating to my engine replacement on my Stiener 430. Went together pretty well. It's supposed to be a direct replacement to the old CH 740 3173, which I would consider this a mostly plug and play. Went really well. There was only a couple nuance kind of issues I had to troubleshoot and figure out, and then of course, as you take things apart, other things fail. So a couple things that I had to figure out aside from just replacing the engine. So I'll flip you around and we'll start talking about the first issue I ran into here on the front PTO. Easy enough. I just used a caliper and measured the depth of the shaft, or where this mounts on the shaft, and tried to match it up the same. This is brand new because I snapped the pulley off on the old engine when trying to use a puller from Farm and Fleet, which might be my first problem, but easy enough. Went on Messick's and got on the diagrams and ordered the coupler, the bolts, and the pulley for something like 60-70 bucks. Well worth it, and it really gave me no trouble after that. The next issue we ran into was over here. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but down here you have some wires that go to this little plug, and you have this little wire that you had to cut off of the old engine. I didn't quite know what this was until we got it running, and I figured out my tachometer wasn't working. So what I did was, I knew it went to one of these three, so once I got it running, I just kind of touched it to any of these three contact points until my tachometer started working, in which case it was the bottom one, the bottom white one. So I left it off just to show you guys, but I will be soldering that on here shortly. The next issue I ran into wasn't necessarily related to the engine replacement, like I said, but here inside of your mess of wires on the instrument cluster, you have this top little holder for this relay. Now the issue is that the coil is not actuating. It's getting voltage, but it's going intermittent whether or not it's working. So as you can see, when I make that contact, it'll start, which is kind of how I have to do it right now. Easy enough. Again, went on Messick's. I think it was part 14 in the wiring schematics. They're like 14 bucks, I think. So these two were the same thing. I'm not sure what this one goes to yet down here, but I just went ahead and ordered two of these, so we shouldn't have to deal with that issue anymore. On to the next issue. I had to adjust some of the linkage. So right here you have your choke, and then right here is your throttle. Now what you'll see is this little tab here that controls the top linkage, which is actually the choke. So you can see the choke comes here, comes across to this, and then you have the bar that goes over the carb underneath the air cleaner. I had to bend this up to get it out of the way so that way the throttle can connect to the throttle linkage down here. So what I had to do, see if I can get a good angle on it. Right here, I had to drill a hole bigger on this bracket so I could get this cable attached to it. Now, I haven't done it quite yet, but the other caveat here is you're not going to be able to get this exactly perfect, and that's what this idler screw here is for, or your idle speed screw. So all I need to do is loosen that jam nut, and then I'll once I get the tachometer working, I'll just screw this in with the handle in the lowest position for idle, and then I'll watch the tachometer. Once it's at the recommended 1200 RPM, I'll lock it back down, and we'll have no issues starting it or idling it. Now, another issue that I ran into was not having enough weight on the back. And I was going to make a separate video, but I'll just touch on this real quickly. So for me, I wasn't getting a lot of ideas from the groups on Facebook, and I wasn't able to find the actual rear weight bar, and I don't have a 3-point hitch option on this because that was pretty rare. I know that Stiener 056, sorry if I get that wrong, on YouTube, his 430 actually has the 3-point hitch option, which is pretty cool, and I'd love to find one, but I don't have it. So what I did was, through a bunch of angle iron from Farm and Fleet, I connected 2 pieces of angle iron to the existing support that goes on the transaxle here, and then from there on the actual hitch I welded some 3/16 steel. So then I took some more angle iron and I welded across these two to get a good angle coming away from it for the bar, as you can see. So then I welded the bar, this angle iron, to the bottom of this, which is what's going to support my weights, and then this and this are both for support. And then here on the spine of the angle iron, I have the tiny little angle iron flipped over and welded in. Now I will say I'm not a welder by trade. I'm not a trained welder by any means. I've learned how to weld off YouTube and using my Harbor Freight Vulcan and old Hobart that I had. So it holds. I've had 300 pounds on here. I've had it bouncing around, and it seems to be holding up just fine. So it's good enough for me. So the other issue I ran into, and this was just kind of my own mess up, and I'll just tell you guys because it's easy to forget. I forgot to connect the battery cable here to the starter solenoid, which kind of threw me for a loop. Good thing I had a buddy over here that was looking out for me, and we were able to remedy that. So once we got that on, it started running just fine. I'm going to use some light here and try and help you guys see if I can shove the camera in there. So this is the drive shaft that drives the hydraulic pump for the tractor, so kind of the whole entire system. This was really easy to get off. You just have that one bolt that you can see. You loosen that and you can pretty much just pull it right off. Now where that clamps down on, once you get it off, what you're going to want to do is get a chisel or a bigger screwdriver or something, and like hit your chisel or screwdriver down into that gap just a little bit. You don't want to open it up completely. You just want to give yourself a mil or two to easy slide it on. What I did was I just sprayed it with some WD-40 before I put it on the shaft. That'll help it with rust a little bit and help it lubricate to slide on. And then all I did was shove a pry bar down into that hole you see right there in between the joints, and kind of just pried it on while I was pushing the engine with my knee from the front, and that went together pretty well. So the only other issue I have is I upgraded thanks to the knowledge and experience of Henry Hartman out in Pennsylvania. He helped me a lot with this whole process. I got the new exhaust style, as the old one was, I don't know if it was too restrictive or it was causing heat issues, I believe, with the old aluminum blocks, which is the reason I had to replace it. But I got this on, and the old one exited on your left, the tractor's right. Now this one exits over here. So what I need to do is I need to finish cutting out the hole on my my front grill, and that way I can get the hood back on, and then I can finish getting the loader back on, put my rear weights on, and I should be ready to go for some projects. So that's kind of my little fast run through. You know, this is my second video, so I'm not very good at this yet, but hopefully I can improve. If you guys know the Stiener 430 better than I do, please leave a comment and offer your wisdom or your expertise or your knowledge, and see if I can learn from you, or anybody else that's reading the comments can learn from you guys. But yeah, once I get the grill back on with that hole cut, and I get the new tires on tomorrow from Farm and Fleet, they're gonna mount them for me. Once the tires are back on, I'm gonna put the loader back on, load my counterweights back up, and then we're gonna start playing with it. We're gonna do a couple projects. I got some rock around the house that I want to clean up. I want to dig some of that out and put an edge line, and then line it with some landscaping bricks, and then we're gonna come in with some black mulch, and it's gonna look pretty good. So I got that project. I will be, as the name implies, Custom Tractor Works. I'm going to be getting some sheet steel, and I'm going to be building a box blade for the front of the Stiener with a hydraulically actuated tine or ripper bar that I can control and push down. So big project this year is to kind of tear up my driveway, since the guy that owned the house before me just laid gravel right over the dirt and grass because my garage was an afterthought from the house. So it's built up quite a bit, and my garage is technically below grade. So what I need to do is clean that driveway out. I'm gonna dig probably 3 to 4 inches out. I'm gonna install what would be a French drain in front of my garage, and then I'm gonna put some fresh gravel, and I'm gonna slope it away from the house to the neighbor's yard, which is technically my yard, for 6 foot off of the driveway, and then build a privacy fence once I get the gravel over. So we got plenty of projects, plenty of videos. I promise I'll get better. The editing might not be great on this one, but we'll improve with time. So thanks for watching, guys.